You know what's actually kind of interesting that I noticed when I play these different games? Depending how high frame rate as well as how good the motional clarity in the game is, the more I spend looking at the main character while moving the camera, depending on those factors. In this game, for example, because the frame rate is closer to something like 60 than something like 120 FPS, I have to look at Senua more while I move the camera, rather than the environment, because it makes me motion sick almost. Like, I don't have motion sickness, but it's just like... It's like, how do we say this? It's almost annoying to watch the scenery when you move the camera and the frame rate isn't high. Because it's just like the motion fluidity on the scene, because of the amount of refresh rate that you have is not high enough for it to look smooth. Like that. It's just, you know, it's something that I automatically, like, do or adjust for every time I, like, play a different game, you know? In Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn, for example, I didn't have to look at Aloy barely at all when I was moving the camera, because the motion fluidity is so nice in those games that you're easily able to look at, like, the scenery when you move the camera. You're able to, like, pinpoint a certain point in the scene that looks interesting and then move the camera to that point, and it doesn't make you, like, well, I guess motion sick, you know, just so it's more easy to understand kind of what I mean, you know? But mainly what I mean by that is it's just something that is just uncomfortable to look at because of how blurry it is, you know? Because the motion is not smooth enough. In some games, though, it can be more fun than in certain other games, like this one, maybe. Like, let's take Stellar Blade as one example. You play Stellar Blade on PS5, on the performance mode or whatever. You have 60 FPS. What do you do when you move the camera in that game? Well, you look at Eve's butt or you look at her breasts. That's what you do. So, you know, you are very highly entertained and amused, regardless of, you know, the frame rate being bad in something like Stellar Blade. Though I think on PC it's probably gonna be the same thing, regardless of how good the frame rate is. They over-sexualize Eve throughout the entire game consistently, and they never stop it. Like, she's permanently over-sexualized in Stellar Blade. And that is something, as comparison to games like Nier Automata, you're not gonna have. Because, like, in Nier Automata, there is only one scene in the entire game where 2B or A2 might possibly be, like, over-sexualized in screenplay. And that is the introduction scene when the flight suit, I think they were called, right? When Eve's flight suit breaks, when she enters the abandoned factory for the very first time at the start of the game, and she does that superhero landing and then points the sword at the player, you know, while looking cool at the same time. That's like the only time that I can possibly think that might be like, you know, this might be like somewhat sexualized. But even then, that same scene would play out and work exactly the same way, regardless of what the main character in the game looked like. Like, it genuinely didn't matter, or doesn't matter, if you, like, you know, actually think about what the movements are in that scene, and the camera play and the composition and everything. Like, it genuinely doesn't matter if she's, you know, good-looking female character or whatever. Like, it actually doesn't. So, like, she's over-sexualized damn near, like, 0 times. And that's with A2 both. But even Stellar Blade, dude, the devs and the fucking cameraman, literally every single movement that Eve does in that goddamn game, they tried to find some kind of way to sexualize her movement. In some way. Like, one example, whenever Eve attacks in that game, she doesn't, like... How do I explain this without it looking stupid or something? You know how most characters, like, when they swing a weapon, they, like, go with the swing with their entire body and their footwork as well? You know? They go, like, you know, they swing like this, and then they move their entire body to the swing's direction, including their legs as well, right? Even Stellar Blade, as one example, whenever she's attacking something, she doesn't move in that way. She keeps her legs, like, kind of wide and very close to where you start the swing, and she, like, bends her back and pushes her butt out when she attacks. And she does it, like, every time when she attacks, like, at all. And that's just a normal move that you do in the game all the time. And, like, literally, I could make the same exact argument to every single move that she does in that game. And it's like... yeah, the devs knew exactly what they were doing. You know, let's just say that. But yeah, back to Senua Saga.
In the lands of your birth, and in these lands too, they know that people can be taken by the secret fair ones. If you are not careful and do not keep to the pathways, you may find yourself among them.
Fair ones.